Namaskar. A warm welcome to World News, an Indian perspective on All India Radio. This is R.S. Raghu, and with me is Prashant Kumar Sinha, bringing glimpses of major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment, and more. As the world fights the COVID-19 pandemic, we begin with the program with a message of caution to stay safe and protected by following these three simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. The headlines. India is running the world's biggest and fastest COVID vaccine program, says Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Made in India COVID vaccines Maitri initiative reach Oman and Egypt. India's Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman to present Union Budget for 2021-22 on Monday in the Parliament. Indian Ocean Region Defence Ministers Conclave to be held on the margins of Aero India show next week. The UK announces special visa scheme for its Hong Kong residents. And Nepal awards the contract for construction of 679 megawatt Lower Arun hydropower project to India's Satluj Jal Vidyut Nigam. Prime Minister of India Mr. Narendra Modi has said that India's vaccination program has set an example before the world. In his monthly radio program Mann Ki Baat, he said that with the beginning of this year, our fight against corona is on and India is running the world's largest and the fastest vaccination exercise. The Prime Minister told that global community has hailed India's efforts as he referred to a recent tweet by the Brazilian president who thanked India. He said it made every Indian feel proud. Mr. Modi also highlighted the speed of progress that India has generated in its vaccination drive. As on Saturday, India had vaccinated more than 3.7 million frontline health workers. The Prime Minister said that in just 15 days, India has vaccinated more than 3 million of its corona warriors, while richer nations like America took 18 days to do this work and Britain 36 days.
आज भारत दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा कोविड वैक्सीन प्रोग्राम चला रहा है। हम सबसे बड़े वैक्सीन प्रोग्राम के साथ ही दुनिया में सबसे तेज गति से अपने नागरिकों का वैक्सीनेशन भी कर रहे हैं। सिर्फ 15 दिन में भारत अपने 30 लाख से ज्यादा कोरोना वॉरियर का टीकाकरण कर चुका है, जबकि अमेरिका जैसे समृद्ध देश को इसी काम में 18 दिन लगे थे और ब्रिटेन को 36 दिन। साथियों, मेड इन इंडिया वैक्सीन आज भारत की आत्मनिर्भरता का तो प्रतीक है ही, भारत के आत्मगौरव का भी प्रतीक है।
India's ongoing efforts to bolster the global efforts in fighting the COVID pandemic through Made in India COVID vaccines reached a new phase on Sunday. Reaching out beyond its immediate neighborhood, India supplied the first tranche of vaccines to Egypt. In a tweet, External Affairs Minister of India Dr. S. Jaishankar posted that India's Vaccine Maitri initiative has now reached beyond the neighborhood.
India's time-tested relationship with Oman has seen a deepening unfazed by the coronavirus pandemic. On Saturday, India sent its first consignment of over 100,000 doses of Covishield vaccines to Oman's capital city of Muscat. Earlier in the month, India and Oman reviewed the entire spectrum of their relationship. Both countries vowed to regain momentum in trade and investment in a post-COVID world in the meeting held on the 14th of January. Today, we are in conversation with India's ambassador to Oman, Mr. Munu Mahavar, in an exclusive interview with All India Radio. Ambassador, sir, what are your first thoughts on the consignment of Made in India COVID-19 vaccines that have arrived in Muscat?
Today morning, I handed over formally to the Health Minister of Oman, Government of India's gift of 100,000 Made in India COVID-19 vaccine. This is another landmark in India-Oman strategic partnership. This gesture of Government of India to gift COVID-19 vaccines to Oman has been deeply appreciated by the leadership and people of Oman. As the Health Minister of Oman told me, Oman deeply appreciates the role that India has been playing under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi to support its friends and partners globally in the fight against COVID.
Can you share with our listeners how Oman is tackling the pandemic and how it plans on proceeding with the vaccination drive?
Well, Oman's overall response to COVID-19 has been quite effective, which is reflected in high recovery rate and low mortality rate. From the very beginning, the government of Oman has made efforts to ensure health care for the entire population, both citizens as well as expatriates. You may know that Oman is home to a large Indian diaspora, and the government of Oman has been extremely supportive of the Indian community and taken good care of them during the pandemic. Oman has been sourcing vaccines from India for a long time, and they have good confidence in India's vaccine development and production capabilities, and therefore they were keen to source vaccines from India.
The External Affairs Minister of India has said that the vaccine delivery reflects a deep friendship spanning a millennia with Oman. In what other ways has India supported Oman during the testing times of COVID?
India-Oman cooperation during the COVID pandemic has been excellent, in line with the strategic partnership relations that our two countries share. As External Affairs Minister said, our friendship is very deep and goes back to several thousand years. During COVID, our countries have been working very closely to address both healthcare as well as economic challenges. Initially, we worked closely to facilitate repatriation of each other's nationals. India facilitated supply of food and other essential items to Oman. We released supply of hydroxychloroquine medicine at the request of Government of Oman. Indian health workers and medical professionals have been at the forefront of fight against COVID in Oman. On the Omani side, as I said, they have taken good care of Indian community in Oman, and we are grateful to His Majesty Sultan Haitham and the Government of Oman for this support. Supply of COVID vaccines adds yet another dimension to our multifaceted relationship.
Given the significant presence of Indian diaspora in Oman, how have the air bubble arrangements between the two nations helped the people of the two countries?
As I said, from the very beginning, cooperation between India and Oman during COVID has been exemplary, including in regard to travel between our two countries. Oman extended excellent support for operation of flights under the Vande Bharat mission, and Government of India also facilitated repatriation of Omani nationals from India. Since 1st October 2020, we have an air bubble agreement in place, under which currently carriers of each side can operate flights up to 6,000 seats per week, which means a total of 12,000 seats per week. This arrangement has been working smoothly, and we are grateful for the support extended by concerned authorities on each side.
Ambassador, sir, could you throw some light on the role played by the Indian community in Oman in dealing with the pandemic?
The Indian community in Oman has been playing a very positive and constructive role during the pandemic. First and foremost, they have been compliant in following the rules and regulations of Government of Oman. The community has worked closely with the embassy in supporting the vulnerable sections of the community. The embassy has been able to provide food assistance as well as medical assistance to the needy members of the community, and in this exercise we have taken full support of community representatives and organizations. Further, the community has played an important role in organizing repatriation flights under Vande Bharat mission. As I said earlier, Indian doctors and medical professionals have been at the forefront of efforts of Government of Oman to fight against this pandemic. So overall, the community has shown great understanding and resilience, and it has supported the efforts of Government of Oman.
How would you look at the prospects of further deepening of ties between the two countries?
We believe that there is huge potential for further deepening and expansion of India-Oman strategic partnership in the days ahead. COVID has shown the resilience of India-Oman relations. During the peak lockdown period, when supply chains elsewhere were disrupted, India continued to be a reliable supplier of essential items to Oman. We believe that India can be a strong and reliable partner of Oman in all key areas that it has identified as priority areas under its Vision 2040. Likewise, Oman can be an important partner in India's campaign to become self-reliant, the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan. Given the strong goodwill that exists between the leaders and peoples of our two countries, I have no doubt that our relationship will reach new heights.
Ambassador, thank you very much for taking time out from your busy schedule to help our listeners understand more about India-Oman partnership. So listeners, you were listening to Mr. Munu Mahavar, Ambassador of India to Oman, speaking exclusively to All India Radio.
Germany's Chancellor Angela Merkel on Saturday urged patience with lockdown rules as the nation looks at an extended lockdown to deal with surge in coronavirus infections. Earlier, Ms. Merkel had announced increased restrictions to the lockdown measures until February 14th. On Friday, Germany announced entry restrictions for travellers from the UK, Ireland, Brazil, Portugal and South Africa amidst the report of more contagious coronavirus variants. President of France Emmanuel Macron defended his decision to hold off on a third lockdown on Saturday. The president assuaged the public by telling them that he had faith in their ability to rein in COVID-19 with less severe curves. France is witnessing a third wave of the COVID pandemic. In order to curb the spread, French government has decided to close its border to all but essential travel to and from countries outside the European Union from Sunday. It has also directed that the arrivals from within the bloc will have to show a negative test.
India's Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman will present the Union Budget for 2021-22 on Monday at 11 a.m. in the Lok Sabha. The Union Budget this year, for the first time, will be available only in digital format and can also be accessed through mobile app Union Budget, both on Android and iOS platforms. Ahead of the budget, the Economic Survey for 2020-21 was presented last Friday in Parliament, which pegged the real GDP to be at 11% in the next fiscal.
The third budget to be presented by Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman is going to be the first budget after the COVID pandemic phase, which eclipsed the shining economic trajectory of the nation. The Economic Survey had proposed measures parallel to the batting skills of Pant and Pujara with judicious mixture of fiscal prudence and path-breaking reforms coupled with government spending, where on one hand, through timely and preemptive decisions, the country was able to avoid the economic gloom posed by the pandemic. On the other, the time now has come to outline the road ahead to attain pre-pandemic growth trajectory through the spirit of Economic Survey has already unveiled that the government will make some major sectoral push in health, infrastructure, manufacturing and service areas with increased public spending, but lot needs to be seen in the budget, which is none less than a vaccine for the corona-infested economy. Anand Chaturvedi, AIR News, Delhi.
India officially handed over two 140-ton mobile harbour cranes to Iran on Sunday. Mr. J.P. Singh from the External Affairs Ministry of India oversaw the handing over of the cranes. The first shipment of the equipment is being supplied by India for the development of Phase 1 of Shahid Behishti Port in Chabahar. A report.
India has supplied a consignment of two mobile harbour cranes MHCs to Iran's Chabahar port with a total contract value of over $25 million under a contract agreement for supply of 6 MHCs. With 140 metric tons lifting capacity, multi-purpose equipment and accessories like MHCs will enable India Ports Global Limited to provide seamless services for container, bulk and general cargo at Shahid Behishti Port of Chabahar. Minister of Ports, Shipping and Waterways Mansukh Mandavia had on earlier occasion stated that Chabahar Port is a strategic port with great importance. The delivery of consignment of heavy equipment, including cranes, shows India's commitment to the strategic connectivity of Chabahar Port project that will provide access to markets in Central Asia. Tripti Srivastava for World News.
Nepal has decided to award the contract for construction of 679 megawatt Lower Arun hydropower project to India's Satluj Jal Vidyut Nigam SJVN. This was decided at a meeting of the Investment Board Nepal IBN chaired by Nepal Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli. The project was awarded to the SJVN under the Build, Own, Operate and Transfer boot delivery method. Similar to the Arun Third Hydel project, which will provide 21% free power to Nepal during the concession period, the developer of the Lower Arun Hydel project should also prioritize providing certain percent of power free of cost. The developer will hand over the ownership of the project to the government of Nepal after 20 years of commercial operation. Defence Minister of India Rajnath Singh will attend the inaugural ceremony of the 2021 Aero India show at Yelahanka in Bengaluru on Wednesday. The event would be the first ever hybrid air show in the country owing to COVID restrictions. Mr. Rajnath Singh will be hosting the Indian Ocean Region IOR Defence Ministers Conclave on 4th February 2021 on the margins of 2021 Aero India show. The conclave is in line with India's efforts to enhance peace, security and cooperation in the Indian Ocean. It also seeks to harness India's vision of security and growth for all in the region, or Sagar Initiative.
Australia's High Commissioner to India, Barry O'Farrell, expressed his anticipation in participating in the Aero India 2021. In a video released by the High Commission, Mr. O'Farrell said that the event is another example of India's leadership role at the international level.
Australia looks forward to participating in the 13th edition of Aero India, India's premier exhibition for aerospace and defence industry. As you know, Australia and India signed a comprehensive strategic partnership when our Prime Ministers met during their June virtual summit. At the time, both Prime Ministers recognised it was more important than ever that our like-minded democracies work together. I believe that our support for events like Aero India are a key element of this work. My tenure in India has coincided with COVID-19. And during this time, I've had the opportunity to observe India's leadership up close. The convening of an event of the size and significance of Aero India is yet another example of this leadership. Both of our countries are striving to improve our own indigenous defence industries. However, I know there must still be areas where we could be working better together. This was recognised by our signing of the implementing arrangement concerning cooperation in defence science and technology as part of the strategic partnership. And this goal can only be enhanced through our participation at Aero India 2021.
The Indian Coast Guard will celebrate its 45th Racing Day on Monday. The Indian Coast Guard has established itself as a reliable force that responds with alacrity to secure the coastline, safety of the seafaring community and the coastal populace. In his message on the eve of Racing Day, Director General, Indian Coast Guard, K. Natarajan, reaffirmed the commitment to the nation for ensuring safe, secure and clean seas.
On the occasion of Indian Coast Guard's 45th Racing Day, I take this opportunity to reaffirm our steadfast commitment to the nation for ensuring safe, secure and clean seas in our areas of responsibility. In early 1970s, the rise in smuggling through sea routes, rampant poaching by foreign fishing vessels, discovery of oil in Mumbai High and proclamation of exclusive economic zone necessitated the need for a dedicated peacetime maritime force. An interim Coast Guard was thus constituted as an armed force of the Union under Ministry of Defence on 01 February 1977. The Coast Guard Day since then is celebrated on 1st February every year. Indian Coast Guard is nation's primary peacetime maritime law enforcement force, playing a stellar role in protecting wide-ranging maritime interests as also enforcing and fulfilling provisions under international maritime laws, thus being a facilitator for progressing blue economy.
This is All India Radio giving you the news. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on Twitter at AIR News Alerts.
3 steps to stay protected and stay safe from COVID-19. Wear face mask, 2 gaz ki duri to maintain social distancing, maintain hand and face hygiene.
The United Kingdom opened the visa scheme to allow Hong Kong residents to come to country on Sunday. Around 3 lakh people are expected to apply in the new visa scheme. The visa, which is open to holders of a British National Overseas BNO passport and their immediate dependents, will offer a fast track to UK citizenship. The move comes close on the heels of the decision by the Chinese Foreign Ministry that it would no longer recognize the BNO passport as a travel document. The UK launched the new visa after China imposed a new security law. Beijing has previously warned the UK not to meddle in the domestic issues. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson said the move honoured the UK's profound ties of history and friendship with the ex-British colony. The Home Office said about 7,000 people from Hong Kong have already been allowed to settle in the UK since July. The UK on Saturday applied to the Comprehensive and Progressive Trans-Pacific Partnership CPTPP. In a statement, the UK government said that it is formally applying to join one of the world's largest free trade areas, deepening trade ties with some of the fastest growing markets in the world. The announcement comes as the UK celebrated 1 year since leaving the EU and becoming an independent trading nation. Prime Minister Boris Johnson said that the application demonstrates their ambition to do business on the best terms with our friends and partners all over the world and be an enthusiastic champion of global free trade. The CPTPP is a free trade agreement between Canada and 10 other countries in the Asia Pacific. These are Australia, Brunei, Chile, Japan, Malaysia, Mexico, New Zealand, Peru, Singapore and Vietnam.
A group of moderate Republican U.S. senators urged Democratic President Joe Biden today to reconsider his $1.9 trillion COVID-19 relief package. In a letter to the new U.S. president, these senators said they wanted a meeting to discuss a compromise that they said could win swift bipartisan support. The letter said the group wished to work in good faith with the new administration. Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, Mitt Romney and 7 other senators have signed the letter. Taiwan has said that 6 Chinese fighter aircraft and a U.S. reconnaissance aircraft entered the southwestern corner of Taiwan's Air Defense Identification Zone, ADIZ, on Sunday. Taiwan's defense ministry in a tweet said the PLA's J-11 aircraft entered Taiwan's southwest ADIZ on the night of January 31st, 2021. Earlier, Taiwan had said that 5 PLA and 1 U.S. Recce aircraft entered Taiwan's southwest ADIZ. The Chinese missions coincided with a U.S. aircraft carrier group entering the South China Sea for what the U.S. military termed a routine deployment. The United States has criticized the Chinese flight.
Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan has said that the unique digital platform CoWIN has developed to support the vaccination activity with real-time information ensuring that the vaccine is given to the right people at the right time. Addressing the British Association of Physicians of Indian Origin Wales annual conference on India's success in battling COVID-19, he said India will soon start vaccinating the frontline workers. He said India is one of the largest global suppliers of vaccines, producing nearly 60% of the world's vaccines. He said the country successfully ramped up production to cover its healthcare workers and simultaneously export the vaccines globally. COVID-19 pandemic broke out in December 2019 and spread across the world. Dr. Harshvardhan highlighted that with the whole of government and whole of society approach, we were able to fight the pandemic much better than other countries.
In a major relief to cinema and entertainment industry, the centre has allowed cinema halls to operate with their full capacity starting from next month. In its new standard operating procedures, SOPs for cinema halls and theatres, the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting said that the auditorium of the cinemas, theatres and multiplexes have been allowed to operate with 100% of their seating capacity. It said that the states and union territories may, however, consider proposing additional measures as per their field assessment. Exhibition of films has not been allowed in containment zones. Informing about the decision, Union Information and Broadcasting Minister Prakash Javadekar said that the relief is a significant step towards return of normalcy after the pandemic. He said the cinema halls and multiplex operators have been asked to endure staggered show timings and sufficient time intervals between successive screenings to avoid crowding. Mr. Javadekar also emphasized on the need to promote online ticket booking systems in order to avoid crowding at booking counters. Cinema hall operators have been asked to maintain adequate physical distancing of at least 6 feet outside the auditorium's common areas and waiting areas at all times. Use of face masks and strict adherence to COVID-appropriate behavior has also been necessitated. The SOPs have also asked cinema halls and multiplex operators in the country to conduct thermal screening of visitors and staff at entry points and allow only asymptomatic individuals inside the premises. India's Textiles Minister Smriti Irani today inaugurated the 8th India International Silk Fair on virtual portal. The fair is considered to be India's biggest silk fair, being held under one roof on Indian Silk Export Promotion Council's virtual platform. The 5-day event is being held virtually due to COVID-19 pandemic. Speaking on the occasion, Ms. Irani said that more than 200 overseas buyers have already registered and an equal number of their representatives in India will be interacting with more than 100 renowned and big Indian companies that manufacture and trade silk and silk blended products. She called upon the exhibitors and overseas buyers to take part in this initiative to celebrate the beauty and vibrancy of Indian silk. India has a long history of silk production and is the second largest producer of silk. India is the only country in the world which produces all the 4 major varieties of silk: mulberry, eri, tassar and muga.
Hilton Valentine, founding guitarist of the 60s group The Animals, has died aged 77. ABK-CO Music, the band's label, confirmed Valentine's death in a statement on Twitter on Saturday night. It said, "Our deepest sympathies go out to Hilton Valentine's family and friends on his passing this morning at the age of 77. Let us celebrate the artist's life with one of the most famous songs of The Animals, House of the Rising Sun, courtesy The Animals Tribute Channel." Now let us take a look at the major developments around the world as reported in the foreign press. Manila Bulletin writes that Philippines is looking at India's vaccination model and is looking up to India to teach them. Wall Street Journal has reported that new strains of the coronavirus are prompting strict new rules for international travel, further complicating what was already a nearly impossible feat. According to The Guardian, EU will publish revised rules after COVID vaccine border fiasco. Sputnik News has reported that new protests erupted in Paris against the global security bill. The Guardian writes that lawyers are in disagreement over AstraZeneca's duty to supply vaccines to EU.
Moving on to sports, in football, Arsenal and Manchester United played out a goalless draw in a lackluster Premier League encounter on Saturday night. With this, Manchester United remained behind rivals Manchester City in the league standings. Manchester City beat Sheffield United 1-0 in their match on Saturday. Moving on, in the German Bundesliga, Bayern Munich thumped Hoffenheim 4-1 on Saturday. Borussia Dortmund beat Augsburg 3-1.
A quick look at the headlines once again. India is running the world's biggest and fastest COVID vaccine program, says Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Made in India COVID vaccines Maitri initiative reach Oman and Egypt. India's Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman to present Union Budget for 2021-22 on Monday in the Parliament. Indian Ocean Region Defence Ministers Conclave to be held on the margins of Aero India show next week. The UK announces special visa scheme for its Hong Kong residents. And Nepal awards the contract for construction of 679 megawatt Lower Arun hydropower project to India's Satluj Jal Vidyut Nigam SJVN. India is celebrating the 151st birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi. Before we end, let us listen to his favorite bhajan, Vaishnav Jan, by artists from Oman.
वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे पीड़ पराई जाने रे पर दुखे उपकार करे तो ये मन अभिमान नाने रे वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे पीड़ पराई जाने रे सकल लोग मां सहुने वंदे निंदा न करे के नीरे वाच काच मन निश्चल राखे धन जननी तेनी रे वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जी पीड़ पराई जाने रे.
And with that, we end this bulletin. See you at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.